Have you ever sat and really wondered? Why is it that some people live strong and sharp into their 90s, while others, sometimes even healthier looking, never make it past 80? It's strange, isn't it? You might know someone who walked every morning, ate their veggies, followed the doctor's orders, and still, they faded too soon. Meanwhile, someone else, same age, maybe even with a few more bad habits, is still laughing, gardening, living. What gives? Well, let me tell you something most people don't talk about. It's not always the obvious stuff. Not always cancer, or stroke, or some big diagnosis. No. Sometimes, it's the little things. The quiet things. The things that slowly, quietly, wear a person down, year after year, until one day, they just don't have enough left. It could be something as small as a loss of appetite. A subtle sadness no one asks about. A kind of tired that doesn't go away. Not because someone's just getting old, but because something is silently slipping through the cracks. And here's why this matters so much, whether you're watching this for yourself, or for a parent, a partner, an old friend. Knowing these hidden reasons, really seeing them for what they are, might be the difference between 5 more hard years. Or 5 more good ones. 5 more years of laughter, of stories, of sitting in the sun, of living with dignity. You deserve that. They deserve that. So, in this video, we're going to walk through 5 unexpected things that quietly shorten life after 80, things most people miss, even with the best intentions. Some of these will surprise you. Some might hit close to home. And number 5, that one might just change the way you think about aging altogether. But first, let's start with something simple. If you're here because you care, really care, about aging with grace, and helping the ones you love do the same, drop a comment below and say, "I'm here." Let's make this a space where people who care about the elderly, whether that's your parents, your neighbor, or even you, can learn, share, and grow together. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. This is Elderly Wisdom Guide, and every day, we bring you heartfelt, honest advice to help you or your loved ones navigate the later years with strength, clarity, and compassion. Alright, ready to dive in? Let's start with the first unexpected reason, one that often goes unnoticed until it's too late. It's called silent social withdrawal. And here's what it looks like. Take Margaret, for example. She used to be the sunshine of her church group. Every Sunday, rain or shine, she was there with a smile, a hug, and a fresh pie for the bake sale. She loved those little conversations in the parking lot, the hymns, the laughter, the warmth of being around people she knew. But after her husband passed, something changed. At first, she missed a few Sundays. Understandable, right? Grief takes time. Then she started declining invitations to dinner with friends. Eventually, she just stopped going out at all. No big announcement. No complaints. Just silence. And if you asked her, she'd say she was fine. Just not in the mood, she'd tell you. Maybe she really believed that. But what was happening quietly behind the scenes was far more serious. You see, as we grow older, social connections aren't just nice to have, they are essential to survival. Losing them doesn't just lead to boredom. It leads to loneliness. And that loneliness has been shown to be just as damaging to health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It creeps in slowly, but its effects are deep. It raises blood pressure. It weakens the immune system. It increases the risk of depression, cognitive decline, and yes, even early death. And what causes it isn't always what you'd expect. Sometimes it's grief. Sometimes it's a physical limitation, like trouble hearing in noisy rooms, or walking without pain. Sometimes it's simply the fear of being a burden, so they quietly pull away. Now here's the real danger. Most families think they just need some space. They're getting older. They want to rest. But that's the misconception. Long-term isolation doesn't recharge a person, it slowly depletes them. That spark they once had? It dims. The will to keep going? It weakens. And over time, that can affect not only the mind but the body too. So, what can you do? You don't have to drag someone to a big event or push them into a loud gathering. Start small. A quick call to check in. A quiet visit to sit and talk, even if it's just for 15 minutes. Invite them to join a community group that fits their comfort level, maybe a book club, a walking circle, or even a Zoom meeting if mobility's an issue. Sometimes, even hearing a familiar voice can be enough to remind someone that they're still part of the world. That they still matter. That they're not forgotten. And remember, it's not about fixing loneliness overnight. It's about building little bridges back to connection, bit by bit. But sometimes, it's not just the isolation that worries us. It's the way a person's energy starts fading. Not just socially, but physically. Let's talk about fatigue. The kind that doesn't go away with a good night's sleep. Fatigue, that deep, unshakable tiredness that goes way beyond just needing a nap. Let me tell you about John. John is 82. A proud grandfather, always the first one up at family gatherings, flipping pancakes in the kitchen, teasing the grandkids, full of stories. But lately, something changed. He started taking long naps, several times a day. Stopped going on his morning walks. And more, he'd say things like, "I just don't feel like getting out of bed today." His family, though concerned, chalked it up to age. He's just slowing down, they told themselves. He's earned the right to rest. But here's the truth, this wasn't just aging. This was something deeper. Because fatigue, especially the kind that lingers and limits daily life, is not normal. It's not just about getting older. It's a red flag. You see, when someone's energy suddenly drops, it's the body's way of whispering, something's not right. Fatigue can be a symptom of so many underlying conditions. It could be heart failure, where the heart isn't pumping enough blood to meet the body's needs. It could be sleep apnea, where breathing stops repeatedly during sleep, leaving a person exhausted even after a full night in bed. It could be side effects from medications. Many prescriptions taken in later life cause drowsiness or low energy. Or it could be depression, which doesn't always look like sadness. Sometimes, it just looks like silence and stillness. And here's where the misconception gets dangerous. When we say things like, "Oh, they're just getting older," we risk missing the signs of something treatable. This is not about denying age. It's about recognizing the difference between natural slowing and signals that need attention. So, what can you do? Start by asking simple, honest questions. How's your energy been lately? Do you feel tired even after sleeping? Do you wake up rested, or still worn out? Look for patterns. Is it worse in the mornings? After meals? After taking a specific pill? Sometimes, the solution is as simple as adjusting a medication. Other times, it means checking for nutrient deficiencies or underlying conditions that a doctor can address. Either way, don't ignore fatigue. It's the body's way of waving a small flag before the symptoms get louder. But remember, this kind of fatigue isn't always about energy levels. Sometimes, it's connected to something we rarely associate with aging decline. Digestion. And what happens when the body stops wanting food altogether? Now let's talk about something that hits a little closer than most people realize. Food. Appetite. Nutrition. Let me introduce you to Ella. She used to love her food. Sunday dinners were her thing, roasts, stews, warm bread fresh out of the oven. She cooked with joy, ate with joy, and always made sure everyone had seconds. But then, she started skipping meals. At first, it was just breakfast. Then she'd push her plate around at lunch. Eventually, even her favorite dishes didn't excite her. Her weight dropped. Her cheeks hollowed. And her skin turned that pale, almost gray color that makes you feel like something's just not right. Her family thought, maybe she's just not hungry anymore. Older people eat less, right? But here's the truth, it wasn't just a smaller appetite. It was her digestion quietly failing her. You see, as the body ages, it naturally produces less stomach acid, and that changes everything. Less acid means food isn't broken down as efficiently. And when digestion is weak, absorption suffers. Key nutrients, vitamin B12, calcium, iron, don't make it into the bloodstream the way they used to. And when those nutrients go missing, the consequences slowly creep in: chronic fatigue, muscle weakness, brittle bones, a weakened immune system that can't fight off what it once could. It's not that she wasn't eating enough, it's that her body wasn't using what she ate properly. And here's where we go wrong again: we assume someone's lost their appetite because of age or mood. We say things like, oh, she's just not hungry, or maybe she's being picky. But often, it's poor digestion. Sometimes, it's even underlying issues like celiac disease, gallbladder problems, or gut inflammation that have gone undetected. So, what do? Start by making meals easier to digest. Focus on foods that are gentle but nourishing, smoothies packed with protein, greens, and B12 drops. Bone broths rich in collagen and minerals. Smaller meals, more frequently throughout the day. And in some cases, digestive enzyme supplements can help the body break down food more effectively. The key is this: don't let a fading appetite go unnoticed. Behind that quiet disinterest in food might be a body struggling to keep up. Because nutrition isn't just about calories. It's about fuel, real, cellular fuel, and without it, the body slowly shuts down, even if no one sees it happening. But while food keeps the body going, there's another threat that can be even harder to detect. One that hides in conversation, in memory, in mood. Let's talk now about something that affects the mind: subtle cognitive decline. Now, I want to take you into a quieter struggle. One that creeps in slowly, so slowly, it's easy to miss. And even easier to excuse. Let's talk about Paul. Paul was sharp. He could recall every baseball stat from the 70s, balance his checkbook to the penny, and never missed a birthday. But then, something started shifting. First, it was the keys. He'd put them in the fridge. Or forget he already checked the drawer. Then, he began missing appointments, doctor visits, lunch dates. Eventually, he'd tell the same story 3 times within 1 hour, smiling as if each time was the first. His family? They chuckled. Classic Paul, they said. We all get forgetful with age. But behind the chuckles, something important was being ignored. Because while occasional forgetfulness is normal, when it becomes a pattern, especially paired with confusion or repetition, it could mean something deeper. It might be the early signs of cognitive decline. And that doesn't always mean full-blown dementia. But it can signal the beginning stages. Or it might be something else entirely, a medication interaction affecting brain chemistry. A mini-stroke or reduced blood flow to the brain. Even untreated sleep disorders, like sleep apnea, that rob the brain of oxygen night after night. See, the mind doesn't always shout when it's struggling. Sometimes it just stumbles, softly, quietly. And we miss the warning signs. And here's where well-meaning families fall short. We say things like, everyone forgets stuff now and then, or, they're just having a senior moment. But when those moments pile up, they matter. They deserve attention, not excuses. So, what can you do? Start by encouraging mental engagement. Simple, daily habits like reading the newspaper out loud, doing crosswords, or playing memory games. Even watching documentaries and discussing them afterward can help keep neural pathways active. And, this is critical, review all medications regularly with a doctor. Some combinations can dull the mind without anyone realizing it. And adjusting dosages or changing prescriptions can bring clarity back, sometimes within days. The earlier we notice these shifts, the more we can do. Because memory, like muscle, can be maintained, if we catch the decline early enough. But here's the thing. Not all decline comes from physical causes. Not all struggles begin in the body. Some of the most dangerous threats to long life are rooted in something far more invisible. Emotion. Let's talk now about something most people never expect to shorten life, but it does. Unseen emotional weight. It is completely invisible, yet quietly powerful enough to shorten a life. Let me tell you about Harold. For over 40 years, Harold and his wife, June, built a life together. They shared routines, laughter, and dreams, some fulfilled, some still in the making. One of his greatest joys was gardening. Every spring, Harold would be out there, hands in the soil, whistling a tune, coaxing tomatoes and roses into bloom. But after June passed, something changed. The garden went untouched. The tools stayed in the shed. The birdsong still played, but Harold no longer heard it. Outwardly, he seemed okay. He was polite. He still said hello to the neighbors. He even made it to Sunday service now and then. But if you looked closely, his eyes didn't sparkle like they used to. He was grieving. Quietly. Deeply. And no one really saw it, because he didn't talk about it. See, grief in older adults doesn't always come with tears. It's often silent. It hides behind polite smiles and "I'm fine" responses. But emotionally, the impact is profound. Unprocessed grief can slowly chip away at the body. It weakens the immune system, raises blood pressure, aggravates existing conditions like diabetes or heart disease. And yes, over time, it can absolutely lead to early death. Here's the trap many fall into: they just need time. They'll get over it. They're strong, they've lived through worse. But grief doesn't follow a schedule. It doesn't just vanish after a few weeks or months. In fact, the older someone is, the more complex their grief often becomes. Because it's not just one loss, they've likely endured many: friends, siblings, spouses, even the loss of independence or the home they once loved. So, what can we do? Offer more than condolences. Be present. Show up. Not just at the funeral, but weeks and months afterward. Call. Sit with them. Listen, even if they don't say much. Encourage gentle emotional outlets, whether that's grief counseling, spiritual guidance, or senior support groups where they don't feel so alone. Even just asking, "How are you really doing today?" can make a world of difference. Because grief that's witnessed, becomes grief that can be healed. And here's the truth that's hard to hear, but important: when these signs, social withdrawal, fatigue, digestive decline, memory loss, and emotional pain, begin to appear, it's not just about health anymore. It's about life. And how quietly, piece by piece, it can begin to fade without anyone realizing, until it's too late. So now, let's pause and pull it all together, because what this really comes down to isn't just signs or symptoms. It's the emotional weight, the quiet suffering, and the missed chances to make a difference. Let's talk about what this really means for the people you love, and what you can do, starting today. It's hard, watching someone you love slip away, not all at once, but slowly, bit by bit. It starts with small things: a missed appointment, a skipped meal, a day when they just don't feel like getting out of bed. You think it's nothing, until suddenly, it's not. And then you're left wondering, was there something I missed? Could I have seen this sooner? Did I wait too long? These subtle signs we've talked about, they don't scream for attention. They whisper. And if we're not listening closely, they pass us by, leaving behind regret, guilt, and pain that lingers far longer than anyone talks about. But here's the powerful truth: noticing these signs, catching them early, doesn't mean you're helpless. It means you're present. It means you care enough to see beyond the surface. And that kind of awareness? That is love in action. You're not here because you want to be scared. You're here because you want to be prepared. And being prepared, that's one of the most beautiful, compassionate things you can offer someone in their later years. You see, love doesn't just show up in the big gestures, it shows up in the questions you ask, in the time you spend, in the effort you make to truly see someone, even when they're quiet. So, if someone popped into your mind while you were watching this, a parent, a grandparent, a neighbor, a friend, pick up the phone. Drop by for a visit. Ask the questions that go deeper than, "How are you?" Ask, "How have you been sleeping? What did you eat today? Do you feel like talking? Would you like to go for a walk?" Small, simple questions. But they open doors. Because the truth is, growing older doesn't have to mean growing weaker. Not when we bring awareness. Not when we offer care. Not when we show up with love and presence, even when it's hard. The golden years, they can still shine. Even through loss. Even through change. They can shine with dignity, comfort, and connection, if we just pay attention. So, stay close. Be gentle. Stay informed. And most of all, keep your heart open. Because sometimes, what truly keeps someone going isn't medicine or meals, it's the feeling that someone still sees them. Still values them. Still loves them, right where they are. And that, my friend, might just be the most powerful care of all. Let's take a moment to breathe. And look back on what we've uncovered together. 5 quiet but powerful signs that often go unnoticed, and yet, they shape the quality and length of life in our later years more than most people realize. To recap, keep your eyes and heart open for silent social withdrawal. It's not always about being shy or tired, it can be loneliness eating away at someone's spirit. Watch out for persistent fatigue. It's not just slowing down, it might be the body quietly asking for help. Notice the digestive changes that come out of nowhere. A sudden loss of appetite, unusual weight changes, these are messages the body sends when it's struggling. Be aware of subtle cognitive decline. Forgetfulness isn't always harmless, it could be the earliest sign that something deeper is shifting. And finally, don't overlook lingering grief and emotional pain. Because what hurts the heart can harm the body, and silence can become a heavy burden. These signs may seem small in isolation. But together, they tell a story. A story that can lead to early decline, or one that, with care, can be gently rewritten. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Have you noticed any of these signs in someone close to you? Maybe in a parent, a spouse, even in yourself? What did you feel when you saw it? What did you do, or wish you had done? Let's create a space in the comments to support each other. Because this journey, aging, caregiving, loving someone through life's final chapters, it's not something we should walk through alone. And if this video gave you a new perspective or even just a bit of comfort, please, consider subscribing to Elderly Wisdom Guide. Every day, we offer more than just facts, we offer heart-centered guidance. Real talk. Gentle wisdom. And stories that matter, because you matter, and so do the people you care for. So don't forget to tap that subscribe button, give this video a like if it helped you, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Before you go, remember this, you're doing something beautiful just by listening, by learning, by showing up. This journey is full of ups and downs, but there is strength in awareness, and healing in connection. So, thank you. Thank you for spending this time with me. For caring deeply. For choosing to be part of something that uplifts and empowers. You are not alone on this path. Stay wise. Stay kind. And I'll see you in the next video.